This video is called Serial Killers and How to Spot Them by Hannah Ray, Louise Sharp and Carissa Fantapool. FBI profiling. Offender profiling is a technique for identifying the major personality and behavioural characteristics of an individual based upon an analysis of the crimes he or she has committed. Mainstream profiling didn't come out of the FBI until the late 1970s. However, until the FBI Academy started publicising their work, it wasn't very well known about. After extensive interviews with 25 serial murderers and 11 sexual murderers, the FBI was able to develop the organised and disorganised classification for offenders. They believed this classification system was very helpful as the two types had different personality traits. In 1998, these classifications were built upon by Holmes and Holmes. After examining a further 110 serial murderers, it was found that there are 37 different characteristics a killer might have. Using the presence of each characteristic, they were able to add on to the classifications already developed. These were visionary, mission, lust, thrill, comfort, and power and control. There are three classic or more well-known types of serial killers, the first being the disorganised serial killers. These killers have an average to below average levels of intelligence. They are extremely dangerous, and they take no attempt to cover up the signs of the crime. To avoid being captured, they tend to move regularly but don't commit murders too far from their homes. An example of this killer that you can look into is Richard Trenton Chase. The second type is the organised type. This type of killer is meticulous and they clean up after themselves so they don't leave anything behind. This type of killer is usually the most difficult to identify and capture as their level of organisation and intelligence is immense. These killers usually take pride in their actions and plan the events to detail well in advance. They will also pay close attention to any news stories about their crimes. An example of this type of killer you can look into is John Wayne Gacy. The third type is the mixed type. These carry characteristics that are similar to both organised and disorganised types, but they don't fit neatly into either of these categories and therefore have their own. A mixed serial killer is harder to investigate when finding the offenders of the crime because they do not give a pattern. The crimes committed by a mixed serial killer show some sort of cover-up, as the killer would have had some thought about the crime. Due to great panic, there is usually a large amount of physical violence inflicted upon the victim. An example of this that you could look into is Richard Ramirez. There are three different types of hedonistic killers. The first is a comfort type. These are often referred to as Black Widow killers, as many women fall into this category when killing their family members for financial gain. An example of this type of killer is Harold Shipman. The second is the lust type. Lust killers need intimate skin-to-skin contact when killing, so often strangle or use a knife on their victims. They tend to be highly organised in their crimes and fantasise extensively about murder. As time goes on, the killers become addicted to rape and murder, and over time, the time between their killings decreases and the amount of sexual stimulation they require increases. An example of this type of murderer is Jeffrey Dahmer. The third type is the thrill killers. They tend to kill for the pleasure and excitement of the kill. In many cases, the offender will take their time killing in order to gain the most pleasure out of it. There is often evidence of rape, torture, and strangulations in the victims of these killers. Once the victim is dead, the pleasure subsides for the killer as they take joy in the suffering of the victim. An example of this type of killer is the Zodiac killer. This type of profiling, however, isn't without its downsides. Firstly, there is little peer-reviewed information. This is due to the information being tightly controlled by the FBI, meaning that it's very hard to get hold of the original FBI research. The theories that are given fail to have data which can be re-examined. There is little to no work done by the FBI on comparing the profiles before and after the actual offenders are caught. There is also a large overlap between categories, causing there to be problems in making a determination of category. For example, John Wayne Gacy. Thank you very much for watching our video. We hope you enjoyed it.